Welcome to tonight's Zoom at 8. When there are a lot of options to do on a Tuesday night, I appreciate that you take the time to spend with us here at Zoom at 8. My name is Anne Peterson, and I am a commercial loan officer for Old Capital Lending. You know, we've been in business for 36 years. We've closed 1 billion loans. You know, I am not I don't pour coffee, and I don't do business development per se. I am your loan officer. So if you guys are looking to put together a loan, I would be happy to help you. But you know what? I'm a little different than most of the mortgage brokers out there. And why is that? Because I have been in your shoes before, and lenders can be nasty. They can say, go away until you know what you're doing. I'm here to help serve you, to help you understand how to get a loan on these multifamily assets, because we are a premier provider of debt, not only for multifamily, but many of the other asset classes. So tonight, I want to talk about shifting your mind. Tonight's all about doing something different. I just have to tell you, I was so happy to see a lot of the input that came off of my post, that this is a very hot topic. People are excited about it because we are creating disruption tonight. Positive disruption. People might be a little bit hesitant when we say disruptions, but really it is time to get on board. If you remember back 10, 12 years ago, who would have ever known that you could take your phone and order food? And now you can do that. So, you know, what we are here to do today is to introduce you to some of these new amenities and resources for multifamily assets, like security monitoring, smart lighting technology, water and fire detection. There is going to be more, and we're going to be sharing it with you with our superstar, Wes Stoddard. Today is here to join us, and we're going to be with him in just a minute. This is Zoom at 8. You came to the right place tonight. We bring a lot of value, and today's not going to be any different because we put together this meeting so that you guys could find out what is going on in this thing causing a lot of positive disruptions with a company called Dwello. And tonight, a guy named Wes Stoddard is here tonight. I'm so thankful that you're here, Wes, to join us. Wes Stoddard is a regional sales manager for Dwello Incorporated and has 7 years of experience serving the multifamily industry, which also includes 5 years of experience with Entrada as a regional vice president. Wes is based in Salt Lake City, where he enjoys spending much of his time in the outdoors with his family. While only currently in his second year with Dwello, Wes is no stranger to home automation. In fact, he has implemented many custom homes over the past 25 years in incorporating the latest in AV and home automation technologies. Wes, so glad you're here. I'm thankful that you're going to share with us some real secrets that a lot of us may not be thinking about. Because when we think about automation, a lot of us think of, well, the C-class, that you're only going to get that on C-class. So I know you and I discussed a lot of data. So perk up your ears, guys. If you would be so kind, look at the little view up on the right side. It has all the little squares. Potentially you're looking at those as a view. Change it to speaker view so that we can give all of our attention to Wes Stoddard with Dwello. Wes?
All right. Thank you, Julie. Just do a little sound check. Can you hear me okay?
I can. You sound good. You look good. All is good. You can share your screen. We are ready for you.
That's what we like. All right. You can see my screen now?
I can. Yep. Do you want to make it full?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and present. Well, thank you, everyone, for letting me take some time to visit with you today and present today. I'll just kind of go through my presentation, and then we'll just kind of hit some questions at the end. Before I jump in here, Julie, you want me to go till 7:15? Well, 7:15 Utah time at 9.
You're going to go for 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay,
And
cool.
then we'll have questions as well at the end.
All right, good stuff. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about our company, Dwello, but I'm going to try to generalize this to the industry in general as well, not to just make this a big Dwello pitch for you, but to just kind of educate you on smart home and the multifamily industry. So a little bit about Dwello. We've been in the multifamily industry for going on just over 6 years now. We actually started as a property management company, started in San Francisco. And at the time, we were managing some properties, and we were actually managing a 200-unit property. And owner came to us and said, "Hey, we want you guys to put in, a bunch of smart tech. I think there was some smart thermostats or something that connect to people's phone. Like, hey, we want you to put these in across our property." So like, we're tech guys, we can go ahead and do this. This won't be too hard. So we did that. And pretty soon we found it out. We created a little bit of a nightmare. Essentially, every resident was coming to us. It's like, "Hey, I really need some help on pairing this up with my phone," or I need some help with this, or how do you get the heat to turn up from your phone, that type of stuff. And we're like, holy cow, we can't take all these questions. This is a nightmare. We need like some central platform that we can control all this from. And so we shelved our property management company. We started Dwello, and in the course of probably like 3/4 of a year, we started to have our first customers. So that's exactly it. That's why we started. When you look at smart home, there's a lot of avenues you can go down. And just like we did, it was just something simple as a smart thermostat overwhelmed us. A lot of multifamily projects these days are putting in smart light switches, smart leak sensors, smart locks, smart thermostats. There's just tons of different devices you can put in. And pretty soon, depending upon the size of your project, you might have thousands and thousands of devices across the entire property. And it starts to become an issue of like, hey, how do I manage all this? How do I really administer all this? And how do I support this? And so that's really what a platform like Dwello and other smart platform companies, smart home companies in the apartment industry are for. Essentially, we give you as like a seamless experience. We're integrated with your property management software. So you move someone into a property, that automatically adds them to Dwello because it's the integration with the software. Once they're added to Dwello, they get a simple email that says, "Hey, just go click on this link, create your own username and password." They do it, they download an app, and then bam, it just automatically works with their unit. Everything works. They don't have to pair anything up. They don't have to troubleshoot anything or anything like that. On top of that, though, we provide support. We provide technicians to come by to visit the apartment because this stuff is going to break. It's going to have issues. Things are going to go wrong. It's electronics. And so we're there to support it as well. But as far as the management goes, they'll also have a platform that they can control everything from a dashboard or from a phone as well. So if they want to adjust their vacant unit settings, or they want to see what devices are low on battery levels, all different things like that, they have a centralized platform where they can control the entire property from one location. So that's a big reason why you look into a smart apartment company. As far as our company goes, like I said, we've been around for 6 years. We've got 250,000 devices installed, over 250 communities. We got 92 customers. We're all across the United States. You see this map up here. These are some of the hot markets that we're in. These are some of the companies we work with. And actually, Lane was talking earlier. We actually work with Lane as well. So it's really cool to see Lane on here as well. So that's a little bit about our company. One of the first things I want to address is when you kind of look into smart apartments, there's really two different ways that you can go as a company in it, and not trying to point out that one way is better than the other, but you just got to decide kind of like which route you want to take. And by that, I mean, you can take the route of going with a company that's an open platform, or you can go with a company that's more of a closed platform. So I've been in home automation for a while. I've done a lot of custom homes. So an example more of a closed platform is going to be something, maybe it's a company that develops their own locks. They build their own locks and they're proprietary to them. Or maybe it's a company that says, "Hey, we got this really cool touch screen we want to put in your wall." And touch screens are a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, because in home automation, when someone cuts a touch screen, puts it in your wall, it's like out of date in a year and a half with the latest and greatest next iPhone or something like that. So I try to avoid those. But some companies, they like to do those types of things. But you got to consider only that company can work with that platform. Or maybe it's a company that builds their own thermostat, or, you kind of get the picture there. You kind of get painted into a corner where, holy cow, I got everything with this company. And if I ever want to leave and go to a different platform, I'm gonna have to rip all my hardware out and go another route. So we've always tried to be more of the open platform route. We try to use best of breed hardware like Yell, Kwikset, Honeywell, PDK, Google, Amazon, Alexa, Nest, that type of stuff, because it's more of an open platform. The only proprietary thing to our device, our system, is going to be like our hub that kind of communicates with that stuff. But the nice thing about that is down the road, if you decide, hey, you know what, don't want to use Dwello anymore, I want to use this other company, that other company should be able to just bring in their hub and pair up with all the devices in the unit as well. So you're not really painted into that picture, that corner. So that's the route we've taken, open platform, but sometimes closed platform might be right for you. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're taking all these devices across the entire property. All these devices have, like Yale has their own app, Kwikset has their own app, Google has their own app. All these companies have their own app. Well, we're taking all these devices and making them work from one central app, one platform. We also work with a lot of software providers as well. But one thing that we try to do is we really try to make it one hand to shake. So this isn't you being overwhelmed with all these different new relationships, like with Pinwheel or PDK as a software company, or Yale and that type of stuff. You just one hand to shake with Dwello. Everything works centrally from our platform. So, a lot of you guys are focused on getting to that ownership route, or, own some units, or you're owning some multifamily units or whatever. We've really listened over the years, and kind of what the feedback that we've gotten from owners is, especially during the pandemic, like, hey, we want to be able to run a little bit more lean. We want a really safe way to be able to show our vacant units. Or, we're really feeling like we're having people leave temperatures cranked up in vacant units all the time because they're painting and they forgot to turn them down. We really want a great way to get our vacant energy costs down. Or, we're getting hit with a lot of water incidents every year. And, maybe like 5, I think 5 is the average for a multifamily property per year, $10,000 to $15,000 per incident. And that's just kind of eating at our bottom line. So we want to figure out how to compensate for that. Or, we want to be able to streamline access across our community better. We're kind of tired of like storm keys and that being the only way we can access the units. Those are just some of the things. And we'll address, some other things here as well. But we've definitely listened across the years that we've been in business, and we really implemented some good solutions to take care of that. So kind of jumping back here, there's a lot that you guys need to consider as you're looking into a smart apartment platform. You can really get overwhelmed. Like, there's a lot of different devices out there. So you think, okay, which devices do I want to put in? How's this going to work with my property management software? How's this going to disrupt my staff? Like, one of my pet peeves, because I've been in software for a while, is when someone, especially talking to a property manager, is like, oh, it's pretty easy. You just click here, pull this lever, hit, all these buttons and see it works. That's not too hard. Pretty soon you got 30 software providers at the property telling someone that, and pretty soon the property manager has no time in the day to do anything. So we really want to create a system that doesn't, burden your property staff. That's one of the biggest things I would suggest to anyone looking into this. Go with something that's simple, that's straightforward, that's not going to add those extra tasks to your property staff. That's really going to take the work off of their plate. You need to think about networking and low voltage type stuff. Is this something that you're really going to have to tear up your community to put in? And then also you got to think to yourself, like, is this really a good investment for my property? Like, am I really going to get the return? So those are just some things to think about as you look into this. So I'm just going to run through a couple of benefits here to a smart apartment property. And then I'm going to dive into a little bit more about how exactly this solution works. So we talked a little bit about the vacant energy costs. So for example, we were partnered with a company called Conservice. They're like a sister company of ours. They do utility billing throughout the multifamily industry. And they did a white paper with us. And they found that over the they researched like 37,000 units, and they found that if you were to implement a system like Dwello, that could decrease your vacant energy costs by 47%, or on average across the United States, that equates to like $38 per vacant unit per month. So if you have a lot of vacants, that can add up, because what Dwello allows you to do is that, you just go in and adjust a setting one time. You say, hey, at the end of every day, I want the thermostat to automatically go to this. I want the lights to automatically turn off, and I want the doors to automatically lock. And that's just going to happen automatically every night. So that way you don't have to remember to walk your units, make sure temperatures are turned down or they're not turned down too much and the pipes are going to freeze, that type of thing. And ultimately it saves a lot of time for your staff because they're not having to do that. And it saves those energy costs as well. So that's one point. Another point is, we've really seen this accelerated through the pandemic, but is just giving people a way to be able to tour a unit without someone just right by their side trying to tell them everything they should look at while they go through the unit. Like, I know that's definitely something that's important to have, but some people, right now they're a little nervous about, COVID obviously. And then some people just want to be able to come tour a unit after hours. And so it's about having an effective way without like leaving a key under the mat out in front of the property and say, hey, go and take a little tour of the property when you get here. It's having a safe, effective way to do that. So we've developed that. We partnered with a company called Pinwheel. They're one of the leading providers in SelfTouring. Obviously, we've been doing the access side of this for a while. So an example would be, hey, you got a link on your website, someone clicks on it, they're able to quickly sign up for a self-tour. They get to the property knows they're there by geofencing, pulls open their app and says, hey, welcome to the property. They go ahead, they do a quick background check there. They do that background check, and then ultimately they design their tour. They can say, hey, you know what? I don't want to see the weight room. I don't want to see the pool. I just want to see these stops. They can schedule that. And then all of a sudden, bam, it says unlock. They get in the front gate, and then they just go throughout their tour. It just guides them through their tour. They can take notes, take pictures. The leasing agent gets all this insight, knows how much time they spend each place after they're done. Ultimately, they end up getting to their unit. They get in by just hitting unlock from the app. The door automatically locks when they leave, and it just makes for a really seamless experience. And what we've seen with that is we've actually seen that it provides a 300% increase in closing and showings, an 86% increase in closings, and a 20% decrease in the amount of time your unit's vacant. So there's a lot of ROI to be had there, as well as some staff savings as well. Another one I mentioned a little earlier is the leak sensor side of it. So with the smart apartment platform, you can be tied to leak sensors in each unit. A lot of people put them underneath a water heater, underneath a sink. Ultimately, it's going to detect water, and it's going to immediately notify management and the resident whenever it senses that. And even if you were just to take a conservative estimate here, again, the typical multifamily property experiences like 4 to 5 of these incidents per year, ranging usually in the area of $10,000 to $15,000. If you just mitigate one of those, the product pays for itself. So that's another thing to look at. And ultimately, it's really about, it's about marketing to your residents as well. You want to attract people to live at your properties. You want to make it, a great place to live. You got to attract residents. And an NMHC study that was done in 2020 found that 70% of renters, want a smart apartment. And they usually consider that to be lights, locks, and thermostats. And along with that, they expect to pay around $30 of a monthly rent premium to have something like that. So we see this being used across Class A, Class B, Class C properties. Sometimes people try to say, you know what, this sounds like just something that would be for a Class A property. It just sounds super elite. And, I can see how you get that thinking, but the truth of the matter is everybody loves their technology, regardless of, what class of a apartment, or community you live in. Everyone still has $1,000 iPhones or Android devices. People love their tech. And, we've worked, with a lot of Class C providers. And one thing that I always routinely hear from people living in or leasing Class C housing is they're like, hey, nobody else in our market has this kind of stuff. They all don't think renters want it. And so it's just made it extremely easy for us to lease our properties. So while we might not see the same amount in a Class C property, usually like $31 on average for a rent premium, but Class A, we're seeing an average of 35. So there's not that much of a disparity. So kind of keep in mind that this is something that works great across all different types of properties. And ultimately, that's one of the big benefits of the platform. You're not only upgrading your property, you're making yourself more attractive, but now you're bringing on an average of $35 increase in your rent premium. And ultimately, when you guys look at cap rates and you look at the value of your project, when you go to sell eventually, and you look at your NOI and how that operates as well, you're seeing some pretty significant investment payoff when you implement smart apartment technology. So let's talk a little bit about just kind of how the solution works. We've really found throughout the years, residents, again, really consider lights, locks, and thermostats, as far as like usefulness to them, to be the core of a smart apartment solution. We've seen companies try to delve into like video doorbells and window sensors and door sensors and smart speakers and smart blinds. I mean, you can get lost in all kinds of stuff, and it's kind of cool and it's fun. But what we found is that rent premium's not going to increase. So we want to be a good partner. We really don't want to sell you something that's not going to get you that increase. We just want to sell you what's going to get you, what's going to get people to move in. And that's really lights, locks, and thermostats. So this is pretty typical of a lot of smart apartment providers. Some might be just a little different, but pretty much every company's going to have their own hub. And that's kind of where you take your risk with the company. How much investment, how much research do they have in this hub? We've been doing this longer than anybody else. We only do apartments, and we've got 6+ years into it now. And it's a pretty tricky little device. But the first thing I ask people when they move, then they're having less, look at coming and doing one of their projects, because we always like to inspect their projects first before they get too far down the line. But it's like, okay, how are you administering your internet? So if you have bulk internet where every unit's going to have internet, great. That's a really great solution, because then you don't have to worry about cellular dead spots. Most people are just, having residents sign up their own internet, and then the hub is just piggybacking off of that. So ultimately, when you sign up with like us, for example, you're going to have this hub in every single unit. This is going to be a 5x5 inch box. It's 1.5 inches thick. It's not very big. You can mount it to your wall. You can put a media box in the closet. Really, it's going to be wherever the internet source is. And ultimately, it's going to come with an Ethernet cable hanging out, and then also, power cord attached to it as well. So you're going to need a place to plug in power. And then that Ethernet cable, resident usually just moves in, plugs that into their router once they get internet, and that's how their system works. It can connect via Wi-Fi as well. And then it can also connect via cellular, because not everyone's going to have internet in all their vacant units. And so we activate our cellular chip whenever the units are vacant, and then they can communicate to the hub that way. Ultimately, the purpose of the hub is it's really just the brains of the unit. So for example, let's say you have a resident that goes rogue on the property, and you decide, hey, we want to go right into Dwello and eliminate their access. So you go and take out their access, and immediately the hub communicates. It's always communicating the internet. The hub gets that signal from the internet, then bam, communicates to the lock. Wipe off this code. Don't let this app get into the unit anymore. Or, maybe like a battery is going low on a lock or something like that. And we like to always keep you updated on low batteries so that you can make sure you get over there and change them. So the resident, is always able to use their keypad on their lock. They can always get in with a key and stuff, but that's another instance. The hub is just the brains for all these different types of commands. Or maybe you're in Europe and you want to unlock your door for your friend who forgot something. Make that command, goes out to the cloud, communicates to the hub, unlocks the door. So the hub communicates via technology called Z-Wave. Obviously, if you guys have more questions about the ins and outs of it, we can jump into that later. So let's talk about the three main components: locks, lights, thermostats. So smart locks, we typically work with 3 companies. We try to keep this simple, but Kwikset, Yell, and Dormakaba. Dormakaba is going to be that, kind of hotel style lock or fob-based locks if you're doing a fob-based system across the property. Disadvantage of a Dormakaba lock is you have to be there present to open it. You can't open it while you're on vacation. You can also open it with your phone. You put it up to the lock on the door with your phone. It communicates through Bluetooth. You can unlock it that way, but you have to actually flip the lever and it manually opens the deadbolt. These Kwikset and Yell locks, and we have lots of different styles and finishes of them, but ultimately these can be opened with a key. They can be opened with a PIN code that's assigned from the app, and you can change it anytime, or they can just be unlocked with an app on your phone. The nice thing about these is they have a motor in them. So when you hit the PIN code or when you hit unlock from your app, it's a motor inside that actually turns the deadbolt. And that's why you can open these remotely. In addition to that, we have this work with a community access solution as well. So we use some hardware called Pro Data Key hardware. And ultimately, this is what you'd use for your front gate, for your elevators, for any common doors like weight room, clubhouse, that type of stuff. And there's a lot of different ways you can set this up. We'd have one of our partners come out and give you a quote on this type of stuff. But ultimately, this just makes it seamless from the app. So the same app you use to get in your unit is the same app you use to get in the weight room, to get in the clubhouse, the front gate, all that type of stuff. So it's seamlessly integrated with that. In addition, you can open it up with the doors with fobs, or you can actually use the same PIN code that you get into your unit with as what you use to get in the weight room. So pretty seamless there with the Pro Data Key Smart Common Access. And then you got your smart thermostats. There's a number of different ones we use. Mostly we use Google Nest, Alarm.com, Honeywell T6, and they all work the same from the app, but it's really about which one offers different features straight from the device that you like. So there's some solutions there as well, but really nice. You could be anywhere in the world. You could say, hey, let's turn my temperature down, or you could be laying in your bed and go ahead and turn your temperature down. Now, I grew up in the country. My dad's a commercial beekeeper. I worked my butt off my entire life. When I first started using smart home stuff, I'm like, I'm never gonna be in my bed and be too lazy to get up and go adjust the thermostat. But sure enough, as soon as I got this, I was like, oh, I'm a little hot. I'm just gonna pull up my phone and turn it down. Also, the system's integrated with the Amazon Alexa, the Google Home platform, so you can also just talk to your system as well. So it makes it really nice. As far as some other devices that we see value from, I talked about the leak sensors. There's just the size of a hockey puck, pretty much literally the size of a hockey puck. We typically see people put in about 3 light switches per unit. Usually entry, kitchen, living room. They stay out of the bedrooms a lot because they just don't want a roommate accidentally turning on the light on their roommate. So sometimes we don't see them put in the bedrooms that often. We can do smart outlets as well. And also, again, it's integrated with any Amazon Alexa and Google Home device, or, you don't even have to have the device. You can just have the app on your phone and you just can easily sync it to those skills. And then you can just talk to your system as well. So you'll probably meet, if you guys decide to check this out, you might meet with some other providers and you might say, hey, they got a hub, they can turn off some light switches. The thing that people don't think about when they're looking at a smart apartment platform is really how this is going to be administered, how much work this is going to put on your property staff's plate, and then how you're just going to be able to support it in the ongoing, circumstances. So what we've really done at Dwell, and we put a major investment in, is making all that seamless and easy for you guys. So for example, when you sign on with a company like us, we're going to procure all the devices for you. You purchase everything from us. Nice thing about that is, we warranty everything. So if you have something that goes bad in the warranty period, you just call us. Dwell-A-Tech comes out, they replace the lock. You don't have to deal with sending anything back. We take all that for you. But to start off, we're going to come out, we're going to inspect every project because we want to make sure that this is the right fit for you and that there's no hidden surprises. So we're going to look at wiring. We're going to look at thermostat wiring. We're going to look at door milling. Sometimes it won't work for certain doors, and we want you to be aware of that. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put together a package, and we're really going to design with you how this is going to work and what devices we recommend you go with. We're not going to put this on your plate and say, hey, you just go figure out and let us know what you want. Here's our 50-page device catalog. Go for it. We're really going to truly design this for you. And then we're going to give you an accurate quote to let you know exactly what this is going to cost over the course of how many years you want to, have this solution implemented. We charge, and every company is going to be the same way. You're going to charge the hardware fee for whatever hardware you decide to go with. There's a fee for the hub. There's a fee for some of the installation. A lot of times, if it's a new construction project, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to let your new construction subs install it. But if it's something where you're just oh, it's an existing project, if you want to implement it super fast, we're going to have a team come in, implement it in a couple of weeks. If you want to implement it over the course of a year, maybe just do it as leases renew and as units turn, then we can have your maintenance team install a lot of the devices, and you can save a lot of money on install costs. And we can just come in and put our hub in when you're ready on a new lease or on a lease renewal. So we're going to really accurately quote that all out for you. And then the implementation thing can be a disaster in some situations if you don't have it set up right. So that's why it's important to go with someone like a Dwello or someone that has a lot of experience on the implementation side, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. So we're going to schedule all that. We're going to stay ahead of, install dates and everything. We're going to configure billing. We're going to set up, our hub, get everything live, troubleshoot anything that happens, that comes up. And then after that, you have your customer support team. We give you a full-time customer success manager that's going to manage the entire project. Once it's delivered, they're going to come on site. They're going to train your people in person. They're going to be there as the personal coach. And then on top of that, we have our 24/7 support that's there for you. So if you can't get in touch with your customer success person, you can call our 24/7 support center in Utah. And then your residents have the same access too. Like if they have some questions for whatever reason, they didn't get the brochure in their unit to know how to set this up, they can call us, we can help them. Let's say something breaks or something's not working right, they call Dwello. They don't reach out to the property manager. It's very, very explicit in the app that they reach out to Dwello. In fact, we don't white label our app for that reason. Our app is branded Dwello so that people know that they reach out to Dwello and that we're really there for the support. And then one of the main things that differentiates us in this industry is we offer free unlimited tech visits. So we have Dwello technicians all over the United States. So if you guys have any issues that you run into, your resident call us, we can't fix it over the phone, we'll actually send out a Dwello technician to go ahead and service the unit. And if you need a new hub or if you need a new lock or whatever, they'll take care of those types of things. So that is a little ahead of schedule there, Julie, but that gives us 5 minutes short. So
I'm sure we've got quite
Dwello.
I think this is so fantastic. Wes, you took us through so much information. I know we've got a couple questions here, and if there's any other ones, we'll write them down and we'll get to them. So please address security of the application, software, and hacking concerns. Wondering about liability of the owners and management team. That's by Thomas McNally.
Yeah, so sometimes people are like, okay, well, can people hack into the Dwello system? And I guess you could say technically it is possible, but to be completely transparent with you, I've been with Dwello for 2 years. Never once have I ever heard of anybody hacking into our system. I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but I have never heard of anyone hacking into our system. This amount of security that we have in place is just almost unimaginable, because we take people's security seriously when we're working with these properties. And I have to think, when you look at the alternative and what residents would typically do without a system like Dwello, they're putting keys under their mat, keys in their flower pot. That type of solution is extremely more unsecure in my mind than a properly set up smart home solution, because we're not just taking Yale's security protocols and that's all we do. We layer way more security on top of what Yale already has. So sometimes people are like, oh, I saw someone on YouTube unlock a Yale lock, remotely. Like that's just Yale's platform. We're doing way more than what Yale's putting in.
So do you find that these new installs are doing all the units? Do you see that they're just putting them or buying several of them for their vacant units and just using this technology for that? Where do you see rolling out different ways?
Yeah, so I'd say, we only do, when we first started, we did hey, sign up 10 units here and 10 units there. We're trying to get our business started. Well, we found the best return on your investment is to enroll the entire property. That way staff can walk the whole property. They can get into every door with an app. You can track who's been getting in to units. You can manage all your vacant units. So we've currently moved to a model where we only do full properties, because that's where you get your true ROI from. We do have models in place. Some people they want to roll out their entire property all at once, but they want to be able to compensate for as leases come in or as units renew. And so we can work on ramp billing for those situations. Or if you're just more comfortable with the rolling retrofit model where you really just have us come and install stuff as units turn and as leases renew, then we can work with that. And the key thing is getting that return as you're putting this stuff in, and we can work with a lot of different models.
So Kenneth wants to know, talk integration of property provided smart devices such as locks, thermostat, and what tenant brings, such as Amazon Echo. Can they use their smart devices with the property provided devices?
Yeah, so anybody can bring their own like voice assistants, like any Echo device or Amazon device or Google Home device. That's all stuff that the resident, a lot of situations typically brings anyways. Sometimes people give them out with leases, and as the units renew their leases, things like that. We can help people remotely pair devices as well. We have an approved device catalog. We put a lot of research into what devices we will allow to be used with our system, just because something that's Z-Wave doesn't work the same as the next Z-Wave device. And so we really, really make sure we know every in and out, because we're installing devices across hundreds, thousands of units, So if it is in our approved device catalog, I'm sure we can work out situations to help pair those things up remotely. But then again, it comes to the point where, do you want residents putting in their own smart light switches and things like that? Most properties don't, but it's up to you. We can work with it.
Cool. Do any of your solutions offer smart technology for accessing gates and accessing doors where you can see the person that you're letting in, like a dog walker or a pizza delivery guy? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so right now we work with like video platforms for security for the management. So like if you wanted to go in and say, oh, I want to see when Joe accessed all the common areas on this date because we think Joe's been going around the property taking stuff. We integrate with a company that does stuff like that, that's integrated with PDK, that would integrate with the access points. As far as like a resident, video of a resident down at the front gate wanting to get in, typically PDK replaces a lot of that stuff, because you got to think of the alternative. A lot of those video call boxes, someone gets to the unit and they scroll through a list, and they call you, and then maybe you see them on the video. Well, with PDK, person just gets to the gate and they just call your cell phone because they have your phone number, and they say, hey, friend, I'm here. It's your friend. You can tell by their voice. And so you just hit unlock from the app and let them in. But if you really want like a video solution as well, typically we don't do that in our app specifically, but those solutions work really easily hand in hand. Someone gets there, video pops up on your phone. You say, oh yeah, I see so-and-so. Then you just go into PD in our app and then you just hit unlock.
Fantastic. Does this system integrate with any management software like smart thermostat providing energy usage data for RUBS, utilities, et cetera?
So not currently to date. We actually made a big hire from Emerson out of Kansas City. We hired the person that developed their Sensi product for a lot of HVAC analytics and things like that. So we provide a lot of vacant unit automation and control. But as far as like analytics into system performance and furnace performance and all that stuff, we're getting there, but we're not there yet.
Gotcha. Can you provide a high-level quote to help in underwriting deals, like basically interested in ROIs for these investments? How would you underwrite those?
So just kind of give you an idea on pricing. Is that what you're getting at?
Yep.
Okay. So ultimately with our solution, you're always going to have a $200 hub fee, and you're always going to have a $75 onboarding fee. So you got $275 right there. Then it just kind of becomes on how you want to implement it. If you're doing new construction, your subs are going to put in all the other devices that you purchase, so you're not going to have install costs there. So if you're just looking at something like that, or if you're looking at maybe doing a rolling model where your maintenance team puts a lot of stuff in, you don't have an extra cost of install there. A really healthy, solution, it's going to be right in that, total range of $660 to set it up as far as like hardware costs. That's our, most popular quick set lock, 3 light switches, and either a Honeywell or alarm.com thermostat. So that's kind of what you're looking at as far as that goes. Now, if you want to add more stuff or maybe go with a little less expensive devices, you can get down from there. And then subscription, is really can be all over the board. It really just depends if you're doing like a You could do like a 5-year paid up front, or you could do like, a 1-year paid monthly. And so those subscriptions, they kind of range across the board, different areas, never getting really more than like $10 per unit per month. And, depending on how large you are and how aggressive you are, how much portfolio you're ranging out, you might be able to get down to around half of that. So.
Okay, that's spectacular. Really love that. So once you own them, you just have to pay the monthly fee.
Yeah, so when you sign up with Dwello, you pay a monthly subscription per unit per month, because Dwellos bring a lot of savings on the vacant side. They're bringing you savings. You're getting a rent premium out of it. And, ultimately, that's not the reason why we're just asking for a subscription, but we have to support these techs coming out, these customer success managers, the support people in Utah, these project managers, continuing to enhance the platform and make sure you always have the latest and greatest software and security in place. There's a lot that really goes into it. So.
Interesting. All right, we have a bunch of questions here, and I want to make sure that we stick to our commitment to our listeners here. So I'm going to pick up one more, and then would you mind if I sent you these questions and you send them back, and then I send a link to this recording, and we can have those questions answered there, that we can submit those. Okay, so great. This is our final one. Any integrated face recognition abilities?
No, not, we don't do any integration of, face recognition.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's, we don't.
Okay. Now listen, how do we get a hold of Wes Stoddard at Dwello?
Well, my email is wstoddard@dwello.com. So feel free to shoot me an email. Happy to answer any questions you have. I might not be the person you end up working with. We have 3 other reps that cover territories across the United States. I'm more focused in like the South and through the Midwest territories, but I'm happy to put you in contact with the right person. So.
Okay, so let's go over that one more time. So I'm putting this in, but just in case you guys are writing this down, W Stoddard, that's STODDARD at Dwello, DWELO.com. Is that correct?
That is
awesome.
Right.
Well, this has been fantastic. I have to say, there's not a lot of people out there creating this type of information, and we are so proud that you're here to share it with our really small group. And I'm sure that a lot of these folks here are going to be starting to consider this as a real separation from what the other clients or other apartments around the area are doing. So thank you so much for bringing awareness to our group. I do appreciate that.